everyone, and welcome back to the Run Up Show. My name is Aris. Thank you so much again for joining me. We are talking about planning events in the age of COVID. So the world is opening back up. We're planning more live events. So we're talking about how to do that safely and responsibly when you plan your event. So today we're talking about cleaning and hygiene and what needs to be cleaned, how often, just to make sure your event is clean, secure, and your attendees feel safe and taken care of. So let's hop right into it. First, I want to say thank you for all Performa, Informa, All Secure. They provided information, and I took the information and consolidated it into a nice presentation for you guys. And we just wanted to give them a quick shout out to say thank you for this information. So planning events during COVID, like I said, we're talking about cleaning and hygiene. Last week, we spoke about physical distancing. So please take a look at that video about physical distancing. I provided a lot of great information about spacing in your venue and how to make sure everybody is staying within a certain distance away from each other to ensure that there's enough spacing during your venue, and the calculation for that as well. So take a look at that video as well. So cleaning and hygiene, we are going to be talking about the deep cleaning of your venue, your cleaning regimen, your using hand sanitizers, your waste management protocol and procedures, the conference breakout rooms, and the cleaning procedures that need to be taking place there, as well as venue ambient environments, and I'm going to explain that later. So let's get started. So the venue deep cleaning. Now, you want to make sure you talk to your venue about how often things will be cleaned and what areas will be cleaned. So you want to make sure every area is sanitized and covered. So that includes your doors, your handles, your restrooms. You definitely want to make sure those restrooms are nice and tidy. And of course, your food and beverage areas. So speak to the venue, figure out how often things will be cleaned. Will they be cleaned prior to you moving in and setting up? Will there be a deep cleaning prior to that? How often will it be cleaned during your event, depending on how long your event is? If you're doing a full day conference or a 2-day or 3-day conference, how often will your venue be cleaned, and what areas specifically will be cleaned during your event? So you want to make sure you get those in writing, and your attendees will definitely feel like you're taking their safety into consideration once they see everyone making every effort to make sure the place is clean and sanitized. So the next thing is your vendor booths and your sponsor booths. What requirements are you giving them? What do they have to do to make sure their booth will be cleaned? Do they have to have a certain number of hands? Do they have to have a hand sanitizer station at their booth? Do they have to stop using paper products and don't have anything that they can pass out because you don't want having multiple people touching things, or maybe only using digital products? Or how often will their iPad or screen be cleaned after use? Because a lot of people are typing in their email or their information, and a lot of hands and fingerprints on the screen. So how often will those be used? Will they be used? We definitely don't want to turn your event into a boring conference. A lot of people like going to events to get in the freebies and little chopskis and things like that. So we don't want to take that away. But depending on what your rules are, you may want to limit that, or you may want to wipe it out completely, or you may want to have them in a gift bag. So you definitely want to make sure you communicate with your vendors and your sponsors on exactly what they can and cannot have in their booth. So the next thing we're going to talk about are your hand sanitizer stations. You want to make sure those are throughout your venue. You cannot have enough hand sanitizer stations. So definitely have them at your registration tables, at every entrance and every exit. Have them at the restrooms, outside of the restrooms, and of course in the food service areas. Make sure those hand sanitizers are big and clear and restocked regularly. You don't want them running out. So find out which ones are used most and make sure those are the ones that are refilled more frequently. So your waste management. Find out from your venue, how often your trash receptacles will be emptied. You definitely don't want to see a pile of garbage overflowing. This is not even during COVID, or this is before COVID also. So make sure that there are enough trash receptacles throughout the venue. Definitely have some near the food. And you just want to make sure those are clean and sanitized as well. Also, find out what kind of receptacles they will have in the venue. A lot of people don't want the ones where you have to put your hand in and push the front of the trash to drop their item in. No one really likes touching anything. So see if they can have the trash receptacles where you can just dump the trash in and you don't have to touch anything. So find out what kind of receptacles you'll have, find out how often they'll be clean and sanitized, and how often they will be emptied. So you definitely want to make sure it's on a regular basis. You don't want any overflowing trash. Okay, overflowing trash is a no-no. We don't want overflowing trash. Your breakout rooms and conference rooms, what are your protocols around that? You don't want to be too strict on what equipment is in your room, but it is recommended that you remove phones, dry erase markers, because those are multi-touch. Encourage your speakers to have discourage the speakers from having handheld mics, maybe only a lavalier. Encourage virtual speakers to attend your events and not having someone in person that's speaking, and also removing all conference room stationery. So again, these are just what's recommended. These are just options for you. You definitely want to do what's best for your events. If you need to have dry erase markers, I say go ahead and keep the dry erase markers. If you need to have speakers there in person, live speakers, people want to come to a conference and see a live speaker. Of course, it is healthier, and you reduce the risk of germ spreading if more speakers were virtual. But if you can have a live speaker, have a live speaker. But again, do what's best for your venue, do what's best for your attendees and your stakeholders. So the next item we're talking about is airflow and environmental controls. So what is the venue ventilation like? How often are the air filters changed? Are they changed regularly? How often is the HVAC system running? Does it turn off and then turn back on? Ask it if it can run longer to clear the air. Also, studies show that humidity controls between 40% to 60% slow the spread of COVID. So ask what those humidity control levels are. You want to definitely make sure that the environment that your attendees are in is the best that it can be. So you want to make sure that the filters are changed, that the air is flowing properly, and that it's fully ventilated to get some clean air coming in there. You want great circulation at your event. So the last thing we're talking about is the GBack Star facility accreditation. So this is an accreditation that a lot of venues are getting now. Over 4,000 venues now have this accreditation, and it basically tells the venues that you are prepared for a biological threat. It helps organizations and businesses prepare for and respond to and recover from biological threats and biohazard situations. So if you have a venue that already has that GBack Star, that means that they have demonstrated that they have work practices in place and procedures to prepare and respond from an outbreak or a pandemic. And this goes beyond just cleaning, just surface level cleaning. They are doing like a serious deep dive, and there are like 20 different elements that they have to go through to make sure that they pass to get this GBack Star. Now, if you have staff that want to get educated in this accreditation, they can do that as well. If they want to go through the training for biorisk prevention and containment, they can do that as well. And I think it's also helpful if you do large events often that you do have a few staff members who can go through that training just to make sure all of your events are safe and secure. So, and that you know how to properly respond and prepare for any type of outbreak or pandemic. So Thank you so much for joining me today. That's all I have for today. Make sure you come back next week so I can give you more tips on how to have a COVID safe event. Please give me a like, share this content if you found it helpful, as well as leave a comment down below if you have a question. So thank you guys again for joining me. My name is Aris, and I will see you next time.